Hey, Kohki, great to get some quick time together. I know we're getting ready for a quick launch on Momentum by Chorus. Really significant moment for Chorus and our customers in the coming weeks. Kohki, you lead our product team. Tell me just a little bit, real quick, your start in product. How did you start your product career?
That's a great question, Jim. The funny thing is that I didn't first start building my career in product management. I actually come from a data background. I've been a data guy all my life. I'm a quant, if you will. So I actually started off as an analyst, and that's where I built my initial career. I love working with data, being in data, kind of being hands-on with data. But then as I worked with customers, worked with different types of data that's out there, I really got interested in answering solving for the problem of, well, not only as an end user of the data products that I use, but also as, how can I build additional products, new products that would make it easier for not just analysts, but the entire business, org, whether no matter how technical you are, or no matter how much background you have in things like maths and stats, for you to be able to extract information and the right insights from the data in a way that is consumable, it's user friendly. It really addresses the question that you're trying to answer. And that's really what got me into product management. And this is the fourth company that I've been working at in a product management function. But all of them, the consistency has been that it's all been data products. Anything related from BI to machine learning to where I'm at now, which is all about taking the conversation data that is a huge untapped space that most businesses are just not leveraging whatsoever, and making that the insights, right, that can be extracted from those conversations available to the entire organization. And that's really driving my passion, right? And it's been really, really fun working at Chorus.
Kohki, with the data background, the work we're doing on Momentum, they align quite well. In a nutshell, how would you describe Momentum by Chorus?
Yeah, I would call momentum in Chorus, the best way that I would describe it is it's almost like a GPS, or maybe in more modern terms, a Waze or Google Maps for revenue teams, right? So if you think about how revenue teams are operating today, a lot of insights, a lot of decisions, a lot of best practices that the teams operate under are mostly based off of anecdotal evidence, right? Or hearsay, or whatever insights or what worked and what didn't that got bubbled up from the team. But there's really no way for revenue teams to, one, understand at a very granular level what is actually working, right, in reality, and what's not. And even if they can answer that question, it takes them a really long time, right, to be able to figure out what's working and what's not. Also, another problem is that the granularity of the information is just lacking, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can implement processes, you can set best practices, but they're all very high level, very theoretical in nature, as opposed to being able to point to, well, look at this example, right, of how you were able to handle an objection, and then look at how the prospect responded. Really being able to get those insights in front of the team, not just the revenue org, but the entire organization, like giving feedback to marketing on their messaging, giving feedback to product on what products and what features are resonating, or what customers are asking for, and being able to do that directly within this interface called Momentum, directly within the CRM. That's really what Momentum is all about, right? It's really providing revenue teams the ability to answer the question of how can we succeed as an organization, and how can we get from point A to point B in the most efficient way. And I want to rely on Momentum to get there, get me to there, right? To give me the, basically the directions, the driving directions, if you will, for us to be able to reach our revenue goals and to be able to succeed as a business.
Kohki, we've taken a very unique approach on Momentum, piggybacking on our strategy of connected CI. But our approach to embedding deeply, both in the CRM as well within the Chorus experience, share a little bit of the thoughts. What led to, from your perspective, the deep integration into the CRM?
Yeah, so I think it's really not just about the CRM, Jim. I mean, I think the CRM is a very, very important partner for us, and that's where a lot of our customers spend their time. But it's not only just about a CRM, it's also about all the touch points, right? All the tools that you do use on a day-to-day basis, and all the interaction points that you have with your customer, with your prospect, including in-meeting experiences, including your email inbox, right? Including maybe even other channels of communication that you might have. And one of the things that I personally learned, from working on all these data and insights products, but also what we've been hearing from customers as well, is that for end users, right? To the reps, the people on the ground, whether it's an AE, whether it's a CSM, whether it's a BDR, to be able to leverage the insights that we provide. The insights need to be accessible and available where they already live, right? When they're actually interacting with the customer, when they're typing up the email, when they're in a meeting talking with the customer, when they're in the CRM reviewing a deal, right? So that's part of what's shaping our overall connected CI strategy, where it's not just about reducing the friction of being able to get to the insights. It's also about speed, right? It's also about making it accessible and making sure that those insights are not something that you can only find when you log into course and then search for something, but it's available where you work and where you live, which, based on all the feedback that we're getting, we believe that is the best way to impact the ability for revenue teams to be successful.
Yeah, yeah. I first started using Salesforce back at Evite 1999, so a long time ago. I've focused most of my career on how do we make sure that we deeply understand these customer relationships, work even before Chorus. And I'm really excited, Kohki, that we're finally playing just a massive role in the industry on bringing that full context of relationships to every leader, to every touch, to everyone that's helping to make these customers successful, that they can learn from the last touch and that they can quickly get right to the synthesis of, what do we need to do next and how do we solve their problems. When you think about, what's been hard about this problem we're solving, I'd love to get your perspective. Maybe just share with those that are listening as we've tackled this problem. What have you found to be hard about this? What's the hard aspect?
Yeah, I think it's really about, there's several things that were challenging, right, when it comes to making sure that we're providing the right solution for what our customers are asking for. So number one is just the overall breadth of questions that might be asked and the problems that might be solved, right? So depending on what company you work for, what team you're on, what processes you've adopted, and so on, what good looks like, or how companies and businesses define risks. All of those questions might be very, very different, right? So if you look at every single customer, they have their own idea of what they consider to be risk, what they consider to be opportunities, and how they want to drive their sales process. So being able to come up with a solution that really addresses the needs of all the variety of needs, the questions that are out there, the insights that customers want to retrieve from their data, from their conversations, and being able to still have a very consistent, user-friendly, flexible, interface where they're able to answer any question that they want. That has been a challenge, but we do believe that we have come to the right solution for that. But again, I love to hear additional feedback from customers as well as we're rolling that to them.
Kohki, as we have other product leaders listening to this fireside chat, talk about the role of the customer, the work that you did throughout this journey of bringing the customers into the innovation, into the designs, into the way that we present the experience.
Well, the way that we operate in the product team at Chorus is it's everything, right? Every single decision that we make is ultimately customer driven. And one of the things that I would say is that we also love to dog food our product as well, which is obviously Chorus. And then in terms of us getting access to the voice of the customer, right? The more traditional ways of getting customer feedback is things like let's schedule a one-on-one session with a user. Let's have a user interview to get collect the feedback from the customer and kind of get a sense of how well it's landing, and also being able to rely on kind of like hearsay, right? Anecdotal evidence through the CSM or through the AE based on what conversations they've had with their customers and their prospects. Now, what we've been doing at Course is that instead of, again, risking anything lost in translation, we can actually get access information directly within Chorus. So we can search for momentum, for example, directly in Chorus. That brings up a list of all the moments where momentum was either pitched or a prospect or a customer was reacting to someone demoing momentum and showing it to them. And we've really relied on those data points very heavily when it comes to determining, are we coming up with the right solution? Do we have the right design? Are we addressing the customer's pain points in an effective way? And, I think Momentum, once we launch it and it's available to all customers, I would love to see all the product teams, for all of our customers start using Momentum as well, because we've personally found it to be very, 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 very useful for making sure that we have visibility into all the data points and what our customers are saying. And we believe that our customers will be able to gain the same benefit.
Kohki, when I think about the amazing products, over the last 20 years we've brought to market, there's always a little bit of a wow moment. There's a moment when you realize the thing you're working on is going to work. It's going to just redefine how people do something, and they'll look back and say, I can't believe I didn't do it this way before. When did you have that moment in this momentum product we've been building where you went, oh my gosh, this is it?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think some of the questions that I'm trying to answer from a product perspective is probably different from what our customers, right, the AEs, the CSMs, the frontline managers would experience. But just looking at what my role is and what the information that I'm looking for, the other day I was just searching within Momentum, one of our beta customers, right, who we've given early access to, and that we're kind of looking for feedback for, right, and I searched in Momentum, all the cases where Momentum was actually mentioned. And then there's a lot of data points that came up, like things like, yeah, like we should be able to handle better cases where maybe it's a new deal or maybe it's a deal opportunity that has been inactive for a long time. And how are we able to handle those cases better in terms of making sure that the right information is displayed upfront without the user having to scroll or to navigate and so on and so forth, right? And I think those types of informations, if you look at how product management has been done historically, sometimes it would take weeks, right, for the latency of that feedback to kind of reach the product team. And now we live in a place where speed counts, right? Accuracy counts, and us being able to just search within Momentum to get that customer feedback, and not only get that, but hear the actual raw voice of the customer, like how are they reacting to them in a real life situation. That's been a huge wow moment for me, and I would imagine that we will keep on using Momentum for this purpose for the foreseeable future, and I'm really excited about that.
I love it. As we were closing out our quarter and going through and using momentum in the deal process. Stunning to look at the timeline. You could see the pulses of, is the momentum going down or up? And I would just click on the AI trackers of, all right, I'll start with the wow moments. What really caught them over the last, 4 months in this deal? Where did we have these wow moments? Let me quickly click play, hear it. And then I would shift over to risk. Oh, you see that a director level said something, or the VP just said, "Hey, we might not get this in this week. We'll do it next week." Well, that's a quarterly risk that we need to address. You could look at the temporal search. I found to be magical. Searching for either putting a competitive reference. Did they come up early? Did they come up at the end? Are we not in a competitive situation? How do we think about that? I found this to be utterly magical. It's like playing a video game at the end of the quarter, working through the deals and then just commenting very quickly to the team on how we could all work through and solve these customers' problems faster. Really excited that we're bringing this out to the market in the next week.
That's great to hear, Jim. And that is exactly the experience that we're aiming for. Like we want this process of being able to understand what is the relationship with your customer at, right? And how can you improve it over time? We want that to be an experience that is magical, right? To your point. And we actually want it to be fun to do. Like it should actually feel fun. You should be able to enjoy doing it as opposed to it being a chore. So it's great to hear that you're getting that experience from the product.
That's right. I think ultimately relationships drive revenue. And one thing we learned in the pandemic and being remote, relationships are everything and how we connect and how we understand each other. And the more that we can help the entire team that is servicing a customer build really strong, trusting relationships because they understand the customer's voice and their concerns and their needs and their challenges. If we can do that, we will help so many companies achieve their vision faster, solving more problems, helping more people. And by enabling that experience inside the CRM as well as in Chorus and other applications we work with, I think we really will democratize the voice of the customer and help so many more people get involved and build relationships and build better products. And I just really appreciate Kohki, you, the team, and all of Chorus's work on helping to bring this to the market.
Thank you, Jim.